have a jam-packed sessions of different sectors in the sense of sports, focusing on different areas where your participation will become really mandatory for the recommendations that flow out and can be then sent out to the Ministry of Sports. Sports is an opportunity as a business venture also, as sports has a potential contributor in the economy by contributing to the GDP from 2 to 8%. We are still in the initial stages in India, and where sports has been taken up in a big way, you'll all know much more statistics than we do because you are businessmen in that area, that we have a long way to go and a lot of space where we can expand.
A very warm welcome to all of you. The mandate for the Ficci Sports Committee has always been to be a facilitator between the Government of India, various states governments, and business and other stakeholders around the business of sports. We have actually worked on several policy issues which are going to be milestones in helping sports gets its due place in the economy. Sports Sector Skill Council. There's a lot of work that has happened on the Sector Skill Council. In various previous meetings, we have actually discussed and spoken about how, as sports grows in the country, there'll be various skills that will be required around the business sector of sports.
Sport in itself is tremendously a powerful tool. It has the ability to bind together an entire nation, inspire a generation, and create heroes and icons that all common people can relate to. Sport has the ability to alleviate the public from their day-to-day troubles and give them hope and reason to cheer and celebrate. It has the power to foster qualities like honesty, fair play, competitiveness in the right spirit, and accepting victory with humility and defeat with grace. And today, I consider myself privileged to be part of a generation that is witnessing the transformation of India into a sporting nation. India has always had a very strong connection with sports. The history of sports in India dates back to the Vedic era. The mantra in the Atharva Veda says, "Duty is in my right hand and the fruits of victory in my left." In terms of an ideal, these words hold the same sentiments as the traditional Olympic oath for the honor of my country and the glory of sport. Ladies and gentlemen, like Paul Coelho so famously said in The Alchemist, when you want something with all your heart, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. I believe we are at that stage where not just the sports person, but the government, the corporate community, and more importantly, our entire nation of 1.2 billion people want to see India rise to become one of the best sporting nations of the world.
The sports market in India now presents a huge opportunity, not just in terms of participation, but also commercially as well. In such a large country and such a country that is so passionate for sports, the opportunities to grow cricket, to grow hockey, to grow tennis, to grow football, to grow kabaddi commercially are there. And that can be done in a number of ways. But absolutely key to the value will be the growth in tandem with commercial partners.
A major contributing factor for most top-class world athletes is a full support in the area of sports sciences. Sports psychology, mental training, sports biomechanics, nutrition, physiology, biochemistry, rehabilitation techniques, the whole gamut of areas which a top-class athlete needs on a regular basis to make him or her reach the next level.
And I would just like to say that as a sporting nation, some moves have happened here and there, but again, a long way to go. There is a paper on business of sports. There are a lot of opportunities on skill sets. There is a lot of opportunities with the university and many other universities which will follow. We have a long way to go.
This is supposed to be a session where we're talking about public-private partnership in sport and how that features into India's planning of sporting events and sport itself. So it's always a privilege to have an Olympian on the stage with you. So thanks for being here, Hakeem. And he will give us his perspective on the broader elements of planning, because he's spent a great deal of time. This is what he does now. He studies sporting systems around the world, and he has particular experience and exposure to Australia and how they plan from the elite level right down to grassroots level to increase participation in sport, to increase planning, and to, at the end of it all, which is what I guess we're all looking for, winning international medals.
We have developed a few things in last 3 years, 4 years, and by the support of the government and by the support of everybody in the federation, we have developed a basic program which starts from the grassroots level. We are promoting this sport extensively in schools, and we target that by 12 years we have a lot of children who are ready to participate in this. But being a specialized sports, we need a basic infrastructure like shooting range, specialized guns, safety things and everything.
Private and public partnership has been in the pipeline for the last 40 years, since the Tatas came into Indian sports in the 70s. That unfortunately got derailed early 80s. We haven't seen a single instance of a successful model of private and public partnership in India. The government is quite understanding these days. I keep saying that to my colleagues in the FI, that in the last 4 years, the government is better than the federation. We need to be better than them. That is what it used to be till 4 years back. So we need to be more efficient. We need to be pushing our plans. But overall, I must tell you that the government is probably more, responsible today than perhaps it was 4 years or 5 years back.
And at the other end of the spectrum is at how do you, at a micro level, whether you're a district association, whether you're a state association, start contributing to the best practices. And it's that combination that will meet in converting this largest ecosystem.
My question to you is, are we missing the true potential in any sport? Do we have a program which can find that?
Training programs, we have specially got foreign coaches also for our shooters. It's a cumulative, it's a complete plan, sir. It is not that I can explain it to you in very short time, but it's a complete plan which is showing results.
The question is, first of all, who decides level 2 is level 2? And the second question is, what do you actually have supporting those coaches?
Our main objective is that if we can create a bank of 20,000 shooters in next 10 years, I have 20 ranges in schools, and I can proudly say that over 4,000 children are training in my ranges now. That's a huge amount, sir. So this level 2 is not for the higher level training, it is basically for grassroots only.
Other than your coach, what support did you have to get to the Olympics?
I was lucky to have one of the best coaches, but it's only that much that even a good coach can do when he can't make a donkey into a racehorse.
Thank you very much for your participation, and thank you, Ficci, for having us.
I'm going to start with a very general question, and that'll be for all our panelists. And I'll start with Vincent. Why is the sports infrastructure in India so far behind?
I think there's quite a bit of infrastructure is there. There's a lot of stadiums. There's a lot of sports complexes. There could be more, of course, but I guess generally they're being very underutilized. And a stadium is a very expensive piece of real estate. A lot of people in India, have to struggle to survive. So this means that they need to secure their future, and by securing their future, they will focus on, getting a good job. It's very important that you do proper research and proper planning and make a business plan and financial analysis, and then see what is the best type of structure that you can, have erected in terms of a sports facility like a stadium.
They'll actually take the stadiums down and ship them out to poorer countries. So they're not just left with big open stadiums and they don't know what to do with it. They're going to actually take them down and then ship them out to the poorer countries who need stadiums. So that's another model what we could possibly look at. I know West Ham taking over the Olympic Stadium in England at the moment, and I think it's going to be costing something round about 150 million.
I think like India is still in a nascent stage right now, so India is starting to get into these areas.
The government, I think they just build it. They did it in their best of interest, and good for them because they wanted to showcase something. They did it, but what after, right? So I think we've had a lot of these white elephants around India. I think you need to utilize them more. You need to make sure that they are properly refurbished when they have to. You don't need to build new stadiums whenever you win a bid or whatever it is.
We find some private schools are doing this on an increasing basis to generate revenue out of those facilities after school hours on weekends.
Especially private schools or non-government schools are obligated to let out their facilities. What did happen during the Commonwealth Games was a lot of the colleges were allowed to upgrade their facilities, but only for the benefit of the college students of that particular college after the CWG was over. So, whereas in the Kendriya Vidyalayas, you do have certain PPP projects which have been successful.
How do you see India as a sports being as a business in India?
India has so much potential. But it needs the right approach. I mean, we've talked about it so much today. I mean, it's the involvement of the government, it's the grassroots level, it's to get the facilities. If all that is there, and 10, 15 years, I think the future is bright.
As part of the pyramid, so we are talking about broad basing of sports, that's at the grassroots level. Then you have talent scouting, that's at the next level, the talent pool and the elite pool.
If you look at the expert, we start from the dietitian, who's the one, the fitness trainer is the other one, the psychologist is a third person who is very important, and lastly comes the sports sports injury expert or the orthopedic, like where we come, where they are in trouble, that we try and bring them back on track.
Coaches who have the proper knowledge of the intricacies of that particular sport, and especially the amateur coaches. So as a part of an organization, as we are trying to reach out to more and more number of colleges, our programs include a coaching program where we are trying to develop a system where coaches can be trained.
How much importance do federations and athletes give to medical experts apart from having an injury?
It's a part of making people aware. I find most of the time they're not aware of their need and the availability of an expert who could be of help. I've been now here for over 12 years after training in US, and what I found was there was lack of awareness. When they had an injury, they were not aware that they could have a better outcome by a better treatment.
India, the sports broadcasting was done in a language which less than 10% of India's population understood. It's only in the last 5 years, maybe 6 years perhaps, where there's a bit of a massification of sports has happened. So the point I'm trying to make is that the sports will take on as a localization effect in due course of time, emerge as a career destination point for youth and kids, and that's what we are trying to do over here.
Sports, at some level, is an aspirational thing. Because if you play for, let's say, a university team or Delhi University team, and you play for a state, then you get opportunities at specific companies and organizations that promote sports.
So on an average, we are talking about 20 to 25,000 jobs each league gives birth to, which runs for about a 30 to 48-day period. And if I look at my calendar as a broadcaster for the next 6 months, I envisage at least 2 to 3 lakhs jobs getting born in the sports domain. Now that's a tall order.
We will be setting up sector skill council. In fact, we are in process of setting up in sector skill council in sports, physical education, fitness and leisure sector, and on behalf of Government of India and NSDC.
So we've been evangelizing, bringing it into schools, particularly in the state government schools, and ensuring that it's all children have opportunities. We also work with a lot of workers, so we believe that they require sports as an integral in order to be good human beings.
The key thing here is you have to have a structure. That comes through the Sector Skills Council, but once the Sector Skills Council has been set up, what does it actually do? Well, it should set the National Occupational Standards, or the NOS, as Dilip mentioned, and there's over 40 areas which have been identified. But once those standards have been developed, what do you actually do with them? Because you then have to set up quality assurance systems for people who are going to certify the actual qualification delivery. But then you also have to have your delivery partners who are also under a quality assurance process, and all that is overseen by the Sector Skills Council in the first place.
I think the main thing for me is the enthusiasm and motivation of the people that we try and work with is unbelievably good. So in terms of what your low level fruits are, they're maybe not as low as you think, because we know with the right attitude we can train anybody anything. They will learn the aptitude, but if we have the attitude in the first place, that's really critical. I think, you're saying you're already training 10,000 athletes and only 150 go through. And we're talking about education and educating young people and everything. But I think in the first instance, quite a lot of the education has to be actually aimed at the parents. We find very few kids that come to tennis whose parents have got no involvement or ever had in tennis before. But the problem here is, and I don't know how many times I've had the conversation, if we have 60 kids on a kids camp, probably have it with 58 parents. They all want to be number one in the world.
Sports in today's world has become very, very niche area and very important area. So you need not just a simple coaching, because as of now in India, we are putting too much emphasis on the coaching itself, just on coaching. So while working on that, so when a player reaches at the top, he feels that, and when he's competing at the international level, I'm not talking about within India, competing at the international level,